Okay, do we know if Jedediah is gonna be here?
I didn't see the name come up
Okay,
on the messaging.
yeah, would you? Yeah, find out if he's gonna show.
I see the chief, I see.
Yeah, we'll give him the courtesy of see if he's coming.
He's saying yes.
He's yes? Okay, so let's give him the courtesy of a couple of minutes. We're waiting on one of the trustees to join us by Zoom. It's kind of odd to see my wife on the Zoom.
Yeah. Is she in
Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
Detroit, yeah, she's in Detroit with her mom, probably sitting in a hospital room.
Oh, boy.
There we go. Jedediah.
Oh, she's in the waiting room. Okay.
Hey, Jedediah's on.
Wrong reported.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled December meeting of the Village of Tuxedo Park Board of Trustees. Would everyone in the room please rise to the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Oh, sorry. I didn't
It's
mean to. Yes, Mayor Citrin,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lindsay,
Present?
Trustee Tenari,
Present.
Trustee Turner. I think is present.
Present.
He is present.
Yep,
He's
I'm
Zoom?
present.
Yep.
And Trustee Shara will note for the record is absent today.
Okay, great. All right, the first item of business is a public hearing with respect to three proposed local laws. For the purpose of the public hearing, I'm going to, as required, read the notice of public hearing, and we will then open up the public hearing. The notice read as follows. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Village Board of the Village of Tuxedo Park on December 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter as can be heard, to consider the adoption of the following proposed local laws. Village of Tuxedo Park Local Law 0225, a proposed law providing for an alternate board member on the planning board. Village of Tuxedo Park 0325, a proposed law providing for an alternate board member on the Board of Zoning Appeals. And Village of Tuxedo Park 0425, a proposed law providing for an alternate board member on the Board of Architectural Review. Said local laws will be made available for review at the village clerk's office, 80 Laurelard Road, Tuxedo Park, New York, and may be examined after November 14, 2025 by any interested party from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday by order of the village board of the Village of Tuxedo Park, Elizabeth Doherty, village clerk. So I will make a motion to open the public hearing on all three introductory laws, local law number 2, local law number 3, and local law number 4, to provide for alternate board members on the three appointed boards as set forth in the public notice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the deputy mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous 4-0. The public hearing is open. Are there any members of the public present in the room who would like to comment on the proposition that we add an alternate board member to each of the appointed three boards, BZA, Planning Board, and BAR? Okay, hearing none. Anybody on Zoom? Any members of the public wish to comment on the three proposed local laws? Hearing none, seeing no hands raised, I make a motion that we close the public hearing on introductory laws number 2, number 3, and number 4 of 2025 with respect to appointing alternate board members to the 3 appointed boards. So I have a second.
Second.
Second by trustee Tenari. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous 4-0. Okay, great. Thank you all. We will address the resolutions in a minute. On to mayor's comments. I'll be brief. Good news for everybody. The Pond 3 bridge is open. While the work is not totally completed, there is a backlog in the ordering of some of the guide rails by the contractor. The bridge is open and available for use. You'll see on the south side of the bridge there, Jersey barriers, those concrete barriers remain, and they will be replaced by guide rails similar to the ones that are already in place in relatively short time when the contractor receives them from the manufacturer. But the timetable was mid-December, and I appreciate on behalf of the village and all the residents that the contractor met that timetable. And we look forward to hikers, bikers, vehicles, and everybody else who had to detour all the way around Weewa to get where they had to go now to be able to use that bridge to get to their destination. Second point, this is December 18th. A week from today is Christmas. And on behalf of the village, I would like to offer holiday greetings to all residents, employees, members of the public. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we wish you all a happy and healthy holiday season. And since we won't be meeting until January, a prosperous new year. And we hope for peace on earth and goodwill to all men. And that concludes my remarks.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor?
All right. Well, in the holiday spirit, I'd like to thank the Tuxedo Park Garden Club for decorating and hanging wreaths throughout the town and the village, and decorating the flower boxes at the library and the post office and the triangle by the club.
They do all the town too.
We do those, not the train station. The Chamber of Commerce does that one, but we do the post office and the library.
That's great.
Thank you.
And, there's a couple other things, sorry. That's the fun one. So the Climate Smart Community Choice Aggregation Program has been discontinued as of November 30th. If you were in the CCA, you would have received a notice from Orange and Rockland that the Orange and Rockland will now choose your energy supply. Of course, you always have the option to go with a third-party ESCO, energy supply company. But we hope to have another community choice aggregation program when the market conditions improve. Right now, you'll see if you go for an ESCO for renewable energy on your own, the price is quite high. So hopefully the market conditions will improve. But in the meantime, we are working with Power Market on a community solar program, which is guaranteed savings on your electricity bill, and promotional materials will be sent out in July. And that's an opt-in program. And the Climate Smart Task Force is working hard to submit their application for Climate Smart certification by the deadline of January 9th. And it looks like we're in really good shape, so we're excited about that. And that's about my report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Trustee Tenari, any public comments?
Nothing, just echoing the happy holidays and happy new year. The only comment I would say is as a follow-up, Elizabeth has kicked off kind of the early stages of planning the website revamp. So I don't know how involved folks want to be for kind of the early design or layout feedback, but the trustees can be as involved as you want or not.
Thank you. Trustee Turner, any opening remarks?
No, none for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We now open up to public comment. First, anyone in the room have any public comment they want to make? Seeing none, I turn to Zoom. Anyone, member of the public on Zoom wish to make any public comment about any issue of concern? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to reports. The court report is filed. So our first live report is Chief Alan Faust, who tonight is appearing via Zoom. Chief, all yours.
Good evening. And I'd also like to wish everybody a happy holiday coming up, and also to all our good friends of the Jewish faith. Also, there's no specific threats at this time, but we're asked to be extra diligent and keep your eyes open for the holidays. And if you see anything, say something. And getting into our report. The PD responded to 161 calls. We had one criminal case, one property damage accident. We issued 12 uniform traffic tickets, 14 warning tickets, 6 fire alarms, 6 intrusion alarms, 2 medical calls, 2 assists to the town police department. The town PD also assisted us once, so we patrolled 2,262 miles. And we had approximately 703 vehicles per day coming to the village. The PD also, which was really nice, last week we participated in the Wreaths Across America, which is a procession that went everybody in the police departments in the county came down to Goshen, and they escorted the tractor trailers through Goshen past the county building to the Veteran Cemetery, which was really nice. And so, yeah, that was really nice. And also attended a wellness seminar, which was really nice. That was held at the Villa Valencia, which was for all first responders and about addictions and mental health for anybody in the county. And the special guest speaker was actually Daryl Strawberry for that, which he spoke about his problems with addiction in the past. But also everything else is great. I got some numbers for you if you like this in the executive session about our, unless you like me to speak about it now, about our camera systems. And
okay, we'll talk about that in executive session. I have one question for you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
You indicate there was one criminal matter. What was the nature of that criminal matter?
It was a larceny that stemmed from a domestic incident.
Okay.
Which it was.
Yeah, thank you.
And lastly, we are hooked up with our niche. Was we went live on December 1st, so everybody's getting trained. They flipped the switch, so we're slowly adjusting to that. So a lot of time we're going to ask the public where they're going to at calls. We're going to probably be having to ask some people their information again and their date of birth and some other things which were already in the system, but being that it's a new system, none of that information is came over, so it's kind of starting from scratch. But it's seemed to be going pretty well so far. About half the county's hooked up to it right now, and the other half should be with by June of next year. They're hoping to have most departments on board.
And this system is courtesy of the county. The county's paying the expense of the software and the operation.
Yes, yep. The county has they paid for the whole operation between the county executive's office and the district attorney's office. They've sunk millions of dollars into this. It's being run by the emergency medical the center up at the 911 center, and they're really doing a good job with it. They seen the need for record sharing throughout the county, and it's working out pretty well so far.
Any questions for the chief from any trustees?
Thank you, Chief.
Trustee Turner. Okay, Chief. Trustee Turner, any questions from you? I know you're on mute at the moment.
No questions. Thank you for the update.
Okay. Chief, we're going to see you again in executive session at the end of the meeting. Feel free to log off and we'll text you and let you know when to rejoin if you'd like. That's up to you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Enjoy your dinner at home.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is the DPW supervisor, Jeff Voss.
Okay, good evening. For the month of November and into December, did a lot of leaf picking up, Worked on all our plow equipment, salt spreaders. Worked on trucks and equipment. We finally got our truck back from the dealer that had the motor repair done. Thank God we got it right before the last snow. Everything seems to be working fine. We plowed and salted roads on December 2nd, the 13th, the 14th. And cleared snow away from the rental garages here at Village Hall. We installed Christmas lights at the main gate and the pine tree on the St. Mary's property. Cleaned drains and catch basins, repaired the gate arm at the front gate. Received and stored salt deliveries. Water and sewer, we installed a new ceiling mounted electric heater in the chlorine building. We removed the propane heater, it was in disrepair, so we replaced it with the electric one, and we'll remove the propane tank from that lower building when there's no more need for it. We cleared a sewer blockage at 15 Ridge Road. Removed seasonal and irrigation meters, began fourth quarter meter reading. We repaired an 1.25-inch water line that was leaking on Clubhouse Road. We worked on a filter at the water plant. Worked on check valves at the water plant. We also shut off the water at 93 Nursery Road after they had frozen pipes. Nobody's living there and they turned the heat off. We located the shut-off valve to 20 East Place. That's we can never find the shut-off, and there was some concern that the woman's line might freeze up because our neighbor excavated to put a driveway in, and her line runs across his property. So we finally found that shut off. So if there is any problem, we can shut it right down. Performed utility markouts. Made sure the heat is working. We check it all the time to make sure all the heat in the buildings are working. And obtained water samples due to the boil water from the line repair on Clubhouse Road. And that's it.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming out on Sunday. I don't remember the date, but the surprise 6-inch snowstorm when they were forecasting 1 to 3 inches. I appreciate it. It was a late night, early morning snowstorm, and it's good to see you guys out on the road. And thank you for getting up on your day off and your men getting up on their day off to do that work. It's greatly appreciated. Any questions for any questions from any trustees? No? Okay. If you would stick around on the issue of road paving, we'll put that at the top of the old business.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. All right, John, you're up.
Yeah, a number of standard inspections were done during the month of end of November and through December. No major problems reported. We are making some progress regarding some of the violations that we have outstanding. One of them appears to be well underway of getting resolved on Continental Road. Issued 2 certificate of occupancies for homes that I believe are in the process of being sold. Met with O&R to review a couple of concerns regarding trees. Also reported to O&R some trees that have fallen on some lines on Continental Road and on Westlake Road between Patterson Brook and I guess Brook Farm, more or less. Work with Jim Hayes a little bit on some of the reports for Climate Smart, along with Michelle, and also contacted O&R regarding the streetlight replacement. I think we're due 3 or 4 LED fixtures this year, so we just have to report to O&R what fixtures we want replaced. And also sent an email to Jared regarding the issue at 20 East Place regarding the water line, which is kind of being compromised by the neighbor. So our attorney's aware of the situation.
I got a letter which I forwarded to you from a resident on Continental Road who was saying that they're having multiple power failures on that
I
road.
did forward that letter to our contact at ONR, and she
Right.
was gonna look into it.
Okay, all right. So you let us know. But the dates didn't seem to jive with my recollection of a village-wide power outage. So maybe it's very localized if it exists there. Thanks.
Yeah. We also received, I think I might have reported this last month, but we did receive, total bids of $6,043 for, half a dozen items that we put out for bid. It's accumulation of, some old chainsaws and weed whackers, some old lawn mowers, an old trailer, and Jeff's old truck, which we received, I believe, $4,650 for. So we received $6,045. We should get that check shortly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
When you talk to ONR about trees, who is responsible for cutting them if they're potentially going to fall on the line?
They have a guideline that I don't think they will touch anything more than 10 feet
Has to
away.
be within 10 feet of from the wire, from the electric line.
And looking like it's going to fall onto the line for them?
Looking like if it's 20 feet back, they're not gonna do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And none of the trees, maybe we'll talk about this later, that we're considering are within that distance?
The two trees we're talking about? Yeah, the one on at 120 East Lake definitely is not.
Right, yeah.
That's the
But what about the turn?
The one on Tuxedo Road, I don't think is near any electric
No?
lines either,
Okay.
unfortunately.
No, we would always call them first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
looking to save some money.
That's good to know though. Yeah.
Smart move, yeah, okay.
No, we have been fortunate. Jeff has a good rapport with the gentleman that does the work for ONR, so they have helped us quite a bit, but if the tree's, 30 feet away and it doesn't look like it's falling.
Is that Nelson always? Nelson tree?
They're the ones that do Orange and Rockland's,
Yeah.
tree work,
Yeah.
but John and I deal with somebody directly in Orange.
Oh, okay.
Forester at Orange and Rockland.
All right, great. Any other questions for John? Or I'm sorry, were you done?
No, that's all.
Yeah, any questions?
No.
Any issues? Anybody? Any trustees? Okay. All right, so moving on from there, we have Professor Hayes, Chair of the Climate Smart Task Force, who's providing his report.
John's going to present that.
Okay,
I told Jim that I would try to show it on the screen a little bit.
That would be good. Yeah, those charts and everything would be helpful.
Let's see if I can do this. What's this? What's that?
While you're looking, I would say it's a very well-written report. I mean, it explains the rationale, the methodology very clearly. I really appreciate how well-written it is. Thank you.
It was a team effort.
Mhm.
A lot of people involved. John was extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I have it if you want me to forward it to you.
I have it. I'm just trying to get it
Okay. Oh, good.
on the screen. That's the agenda.
Oh, there it is. You have it on the top.
Yeah, it's that other tab,
Click.
John, up there.
Yeah, I can't see it here on the screen. No.
next
To the right. Oh, no,
Yep.
keep going to,
Yeah, no, here we go. I had to remove the title bar.
there you go.
So as Michelle started to say, there was quite a bit of information that Jim Hayes had compiled, starting back in 2018, and then ultimately comparing the 2018 data to 2022 and seeing what the difference has been. We have made some changes in the heating systems and some vehicles, which have helped quite a bit. We'll point out some of the.
And the switch to New York Power Authority energy supply was a
Yes.
big contribution.
It's a lengthy, so we'll go to the high points. This graph obviously shows us how much we are emitting with it looks to be the buildings and facilities emitting the most greenhouse gas emissions, but all of the areas really need some attention. The buildings, electric usage, the vehicles, and other So we do need to make some improvements on all of those aspects in order to be productive going forward. We do see there's been a large reduction in emissions at the water treatment plant. I'm assuming that's mostly because of the new boiler that we have there. We changed that boiler right around 2017, 2018, and the old boiler had to be 30, 40 years old. So there was a substantial improvement there, both in reliability and reduced gas emissions.
Just so the public is clear on this, this concerns village government property,
Yes.
Village government real estate, village government vehicles. This is a plan to reduce greenhouse gases with respect to those items that are under control of the village, right? Is that correct, Professor?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it focuses particularly on village functions and facilities that in fact you can modify to reduce greenhouse gases. I mean, for instance, generators, you have to keep the generators going and there's nothing else.
Sure.
And some of the water pumps and that sort of thing as well. So the really focuses on heating buildings, which is a big part of it, and on the exhaust from village vehicles and the electricity used.
Thank you.
The chart on the screen now shows there's been a substantial reduction at the water treatment plant, also at 18 Weewa Road, which is the DPW shop building.
No.
Not seven,
it's a
it's
sewer
a-
plant.
The sewer plant also.
77 is DPW.
Yeah, there's been a reduction at the DPW shop. It doesn't show much here, but we have a relatively new furnace there. And that's been a lot more efficient and a lot more reliable than in the past. We also removed the oil tank at that location, so everything is on propane, both for the heat and the generator. Anything you want to add, Jim, regarding this,
So this is these are just the
vehicles?
police cars, and moving from 2018 to 2022. And there are reductions there, and it's not clear exactly why. 2018 was a considerably colder year than 2022. And there was a lot more plowing of snow in 2022 than in 2018 than 2022. So that made a difference in terms of DPW. So I think there's rather big changes in DPW, both gas and diesel, and I think that's probably related to snow plowing. And this is the emissions from the this is just the same thing again, really. Gas
Showing the reductions.
it's just a histogram. And maybe I should.
Yeah, maybe so people online can hear.
As Jim mentioned, the weather was significantly different between 2018 and 2022. Jim put this together showing that we had 40 inches of snow in 2018 and roughly half of that in 2022.
Yeah. So that you were able to, the village government was able to reduce our greenhouse emissions by something like 30%. 20% of that was because, and Michelle was very much involved in this, going from O&R electricity to NYPA. And NYPA is not generated by fossil fuels. So that saved us 20% of our emissions. The others was the change from regular police cars to hybrids. And then there was a small change because of the DPW going from fuel oil to propane. So that was that. So then we're up to 30% and reduction. And so in the future, between now and 2030, the state has a commitment, and we have adopted that commitment to reduce emissions by 40% from our 2018 level. And that can be done. I think there's another table, John, that's just a little further along. No,
I think that
no.
I think this was the
Oh, maybe it was
showing what we
there.
have to do.
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You had it. That was to replace the heat pump, replace the furnace in this building with a heat pump. And in the pump house at the water plant. Both of those are fairly old. The one in this building is having difficulties, and the pump house at the water plant is over 25 years old. And 18 Weewa Road, also 22 years old. And the water truck is 13 years old. So if the water truck can be replaced with an EV, and Jeff assures me that the water truck is not used for plowing, so it could be an EV. And that would bring us up to another 10% reduction, which would take us up to 40%. So that would be, we'd get it. So just those three. So I just like to add that this was a team effort. John was particularly important because in the terms of the data gathering for the inventories, we did 2 inventories, one for 2018, the other for 2022. And he was absolutely essential in his help and very cooperative. Fred Buell, who was another co-author on the paper, was very helpful in the writing. Michelle, as a member of the village task force, and she usually always chairs of our monthly meetings with the town, and then her work making the transition from ONR to NIPA that was critical. So it's so, and also just other members of the task force helped, and also other members of the village. Jeff was helpful, the chief was helpful, and then so it was really a community effort. I just like to say this, what we're doing, I think, is very important. I'm a climate scientist. I've spent my life doing that, not present climate, but past climates. But I work with people who are studying present climate, and I've been following that for probably 40 years. And we really need to be doing what we're doing, because the costs of not doing it are going to be huge, and everybody's going to have to pay for it. I mean, in other words, the problems are going to have to be solved with federal money, and that money is going to come out of everybody's pocket. So the sooner we get going with this, and the more we do, the less damage will be done in the future. You could say, well, what difference does a little community like this make? Well, no, of course, it's a drop in the bucket, but we are working with over 400 communities across the state. And that they represent over half the population of the state. Now, that's not enough either. We have to do more, but we have to get started, and we have to go at it. And I'm very impressed with what I've learned from other communities, what they're doing. Westchester is doing all kinds of things. Communities up and down the Hudson are well ahead of us in terms of what they're doing. But if we all get in there and we all do something, it will be we can make a difference, and that difference will be important to our children and our grandchildren. There's no question about that in my mind. It's absolutely essential. I'd like to thank the trustees for supporting what we're doing. I'd like to thank particularly Josh and Matt for going geothermal. I hope you're snug in this cold winter.
It's perfect. Yep.
That's
Highly
great.
recommend.
That makes a big difference. Big
Yeah,
house.
Dr.
And
Yeah,
that's,
Dr. Hans.
it's very, very important. And Paul Brook, who was a former trustee, he's gone geothermal too. So that's extremely important. So I just want to thank you all, and we'll keep going if you keep supporting us.
Well, we want to thank you, Professor, because without all the effort that you put in and without all your knowledge and wisdom, we wouldn't be halfway to where we should be. And so, on behalf of the village and the Board of Trustees, thank you for everything you do for us. We deeply appreciate it. We are very fortunate to have you here as a resident.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said.
Okay, and we're going to adopt this plan pursuant to the agenda a little later on. Okay, water department reports are attached to the record, and I believe that the clerk's treasurer is here. And while most of her reports are attached to the record, she has a request to make of the village residents.
Okay, so just about the reports, I just wanted to say that the general fund bills are high this month because they include the two bills to retirement, which total about 300,000. Other than that, everything is pretty much normal. So thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to talk to the community briefly about CSLAP, which stands for Citizens Statewide Lake Assessment Program. It's a statewide program that we participate in where they test the waters. They sample the waters in the lake, and they take collections and they test for certain things. They go at different depths. They test for things like temperature and other things. And it's a very big thing. It's statewide, as well as being something that we learn about this most important part of our community. So it's of local interest and statewide interest. They are looking for people to help volunteer. They have volunteers, but they'd like to have a few more. It involves a few hours of training. And after that, it involves 4 collections over the course of the summer, 1 in June, 1 in July, 1 in August, 1 in September. It's not a very big commitment in that sense. And you go out in a rowboat on these smaller lakes or canoe or kayak and sample the water. And I think somebody lets them use the pontoon for Tuxedo Lake. So I just wanted to get the word out there. I was talking to Jay Reichcott, who's involved with it, and it just seems so interesting to me. And I thought I would share that with people in case anybody wants to get involved.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We, even though this is not the time of year they do CSLAP testing, I will
Right.
put it out in my mayor's message again. We've made every effort to try to get people to join, and we'll ask again towards the springtime. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One thing with the kids, like the parents get trained and have the kids go out on the boat.
Okay. Well,
How
you
many
can
people-
spread the word there,
Yeah.
Trustee Tanari. You're the one.
How many people do we need?
Well, I think they need at least 6 or 7
Oh, okay.
adults.
But I like your thinking. It's good to get younger people involved. We
Yep,
had more in the
absolutely.
past, and they've kind of aged out of it. So it's I think in a way it is fun as well as it being serious and important.
Okay, that concludes the reports. So I would make the following motion: be resolved that the board add all written reports to the permanent record. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the deputy mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. We move on to approval of minutes. We have minutes from November 20th, regular BOT meeting, and then the November 24th special BOT meeting. I'll make the first motion: be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the minutes from the regular Board of Trustees monthly meeting on November 20th of 2025. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Trustee Tanari. Any discussion, changes, corrections, additions from anybody on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Now on to the second set of minutes. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the minutes from the special Board of Trustees month meeting on November 24th of 2025. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion, changes, corrections to those minutes?
Nope.
Nope. Elizabeth, you are to be commended. There are never any changes, additions, or corrections to any of the minutes you prepare. So thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much. I appreciate that
Thank
very
you
much.
for your
Thank you.
brilliant work.
Yeah.
Okay. It should always be remembered that Elizabeth has to put that all together after we're done. Thank you so much. Okay. All in favor, 4-0, passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we move on to old business. We're gonna move that an item around since Jeff is still here, And this is the review of the proposed village roads scheduled for repair in spring of 2022. And we're here for a discussion of that and some decision making. So let's open up the floor to Jeff. What's the status at this point with respect to Ward paving and the work that's to be done?
Well, I believe you all have the list of
We do.
roads that I took more paving around and measured to get pricing. Now, I measured more than what we have budgeted for. If you decide you want to do more than what we have budgeted for. What if we're gonna stay within our budget, the Weewa Road definitely has to be done.
Okay, that's number one in terms of priority?
Yeah.
I mean, we can just.
Weewa,
Yep.
What is,
East Lake
Jeff,
Stable.
what is the budget? You know, off the top of your head?
I don't know exactly how much is left, but the original budget was 240,000. But, you know, there's other items that come out of that budget line, stone products, pipe, catch basins, things like that. I would think there should be maybe 175 left.
And because Ward Paving wasn't able to get here in the last fiscal year, that money just went to fund balance. So we could consider taking that money.
So that was the same, about 175.
Yeah.
180, I think.
There was like 180.
Yeah, 180. But let's do the priority. Your prioritization is important. So we was number one. What's number two?
East Lake Stable
Okay.
and that little piece on Pawtucket. If we were just staying within the budget that we have for this fiscal year.
Okay. All right. So I had the opportunity to drive the roads today, and I think we're all, at least we were absolutely number one. It needs to be done. East Lake Stable is also requires work. I thought that actually one road that's not on the list, Summit.
Me too.
Summit to Cannon Hill.
Yeah, it's bad there.
Is really, it's a bad road, and it's a steep road, and it should for safety reasons and other reasons be repaved. Is there any way to make a determination, like a ballpark figure, what it would cost? I'm not asking you to do it tonight off the top of your head, but because I
It's
think
really the section up like through that curve is really bad. Yeah.
but we can do it all the way to Cannon Hill.
Oh, to Cannon Hill.
Cannon
okay.
Hill, yeah.
The reason why I didn't do that when I did the top section.
Yeah.
Is because of the construction that was going on at the lower end of the road. So I was.
With the red house.
I wanted to wait until that was completed, but now.
That's at a standstill. You're right.
So that's the reason why that hasn't been done yet.
Okay, so could we make that number 4 and maybe
Yeah.
circuit number 5 or vice versa? What do you think?
I think circuit is more important.
Okay,
Okay.
circuit number 4, Summit as an addition is number 5. We don't have any numbers on that, we understand. And with respect to, so, that'll carry us over to the budget, but as the deputy mayor says, we can take money out of reserve that we didn't use last year.
Right.
Is that going to be about it for spring paving?
Just the 4 or 5?
The five we mentioned. I mean, you don't know what Summit is,
Right.
but that's going to be pretty expensive, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, also, isn't there damage from the winter to the roads? Shouldn't we look in the spring and see if we want to do anything else?
Well, let me just add something that Trustee Shera, who's not present, proposed. We're paying for core sampling.
Yeah.
Core sampling, and Trustee Shera proposed that we urge the engineer to do that as fast as possible and give us a scientific analysis on the condition of the roads that we've designated so that we can determine whether whether the order that we're picking, in fact, is the right order based on some sense of of the internal condition of each of those roads. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I thought that was a very good suggestion.
Well, that's why, yeah, I mean, it is obviously a great suggestion because that's why we want to see, is it just a small
Top
thickness?
coat
Or do we have
right.
to go, you know,
Yeah.
we have to
And
mill
Jeff,
it? Do we have to reclaim it?
Sorry, Michelle. Are these prices just the top coat?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, the prices are gonna be a little bit more than what you're seeing on that paper.
Mhm.
Because we decided, this was based on going 1 3/4 inches in thickness.
Mhm.
And we decided it's best to go at least 2 inches, so.
Hey, Jeff, have you done core samples before, or would this be new?
No.
Okay.
Are you
My-
doing them, or are the
Well,
engineers?
Go ahead, Trustee Turner. I mean,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, before we do all of the core samples, I might suggest we try 1 or 2 roads, just because I don't know how expensive that is, but it's pretty easy to tell if a road's in bad shape in my mind.
Absolutely.
You mean visit by looking at the road, or you're talking?
Well, I mean, Jeff and team have been doing this for a long time, so I just, before we spend a ton of money taking samples and paying a third party to pay samples, let's try it on 1 or 2 roads and see if the data bears out something different than what the team would recommend anyway.
Well,
I just worry.
Go ahead. Oh, you're off. You're on. You're off.
Sorry, I'm saying that, like, people have a tendency to oversample when you can just look at things and say, hey, this either needs it or not. So I'm just wondering, is there real utility?
The issue becomes, what are they going to do to the roads? Some roads have to be milled, right?
Well, of this list,
Yeah.
the only one that's gonna need, extra work would be circuit, which is not milling. Milling is where you're taking just a thin layer off and you're repaving. This is gonna require grinding up the whole road. They go down about 8 inches. Huge machine grinds it all up. Regrade it to make a nice base under. So that portion of it, when we do Circuit Road, it's gonna be another 15 to 20,000 on top of the paving.
Over and above the price that we have in front of us, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And Jeff, I think what Jedediah and or maybe what Josh was concerned with, there's some roads that you might do the top coat and think just optically that's okay, but in fact you should be grinding it instead of putting another layer. That's, I think, what
Yeah.
Josh
Well,
is
listen,
concerned with.
If you can do the core samples, I think, again, these roads are old horse and buggy roads
Yeah.
that have been paved over years and years and years, so.
I like Jedediah's idea. Do one that Jeff thinks is just a top coat. See if it says, you know what, you really should grind it. And then we can have a conversation.
Yeah, because we know circuit needs to go down deeper, but,
And it's only a portion of circuits, not the whole road.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Jeff, why
So
don't you come back to us with a proposal of which ones you would test? I just want to be mindful we're not testing for the sake of
can we
testing.
make that decision now rather than wait until January? Could you recommend? Could anybody recommend the roads the two or three that should be tested?
Like of the I think of the 5 we highlighted.
Yep.
The ones Jeff think is just going to be this 2-inch top coat. Maybe we do 2 of them. I don't know how much it costs, but maybe do 1 or 2 of them to confirm that the top coat is sufficient.
Maybe Summit, I would suggest.
John, you had.
I remember hearing some numbers, but they weren't very large numbers as far as the testing. As far as having somebody come out to do a core sample and send it to a lab, I don't think it was a very expensive
I don't
number.
know what it was.
And I think the engineer would agree with you that let's do one or two roads and see what we have. But also to that point, the engineer is really concerned about stability of the entire road, not just the top couple inches that we see that's worn away or uneven or has potholes.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Let's do one or two core samples.
Seems like we should do WeWa since that's the biggest priority, right?
Mhm. Right.
I don't know if we should we should just pave Weewa. It's a level road. It really is. I mean, it's a level road, and you've got two town residents on the road.
That's true, that's true.
It really,
Maybe
Summit's
more-
a great, Summit's
Summit.
I think
Summit.
Summit would be
Summit,
good,
yeah.
because it's got bends. And
yeah.
the
Okay, so
steepness.
let's do Summit, and what's the other one we should ask the engineer to
Well, we
do?
know Circuit, it has to be, so we don't need to test
Right.
that one.
And then East Lake
Stable?
Stable,
Yeah.
East Lake Stable, because that's a mess. So those two, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. So we have an agreement, and we'll see what they come back with. I don't know how long it takes to do that process. It shouldn't be too long.
I have one question unrelated. So Camp Comfort was highlighted here because either me or my wife do this drive every day. Where does the village's road end and the school's road begin? Because that road up there is a
Oh,
disaster.
that's all the school up there.
You mean
Is
that
it-
circus, the road around the football field?
But is it even the one that connects like Ivy Road to Camp Comfort? Is that
Camp
private?
Camp Comfort ends when you get up by the school, you make that sharp right.
Yeah.
It ends right there at that corner.
And the connection to Ivy Road, is that private or is that village?
That's all private.
Okay, because that's the worst.
Good
one,
night,
that little-
Professor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all
Okay,
private.
so that's all the school, that
Yeah.
whole circle.
Yeah.
That mess is theirs. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The other side of Ivy, I think the two homeowners there had that paved a few years.
That's
ago.
the Garafanos.
Garafanos and just
McKinnon.
above.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we have an agreement and we'll move forward from that point. Great.
And
Okay.
I'll get you a price.
On Summit, yeah.
Tomorrow on Summit, I
Yeah.
can figure that out myself. I'm
Yeah.
measuring it.
Okay.
And would any of the work extend into the next fiscal year? I mean, while Ward paving is here, could we then move it into the next budget and?
I think we can have that discussion in January.
Well, that,
The,
whatever. Trying to think when that contract ends, because there'll be a new contract coming
Oh,
out,
okay.
so
All right.
yeah.
you may not be able to extend it into the next fiscal year as far as the same price.
I think the contract was my recollection is the contract was in the spring.
Well, the contract that we used to piggyback on was,
Came out in the spring.
came out in the early spring.
Yeah.
But the contract that we're part of now, which is different, wasn't that a little bit later during the summer?
It was, yeah.
It might have been August,
Yeah.
which would definitely straddle both this year and next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think let's see how we do and we'll revisit this in January. Okay? All right. Thanks for coming in and hanging
Thanks,
around. Appreciate it. Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is the trees. We've had this discussion. There is a leaning tree on the village right of way at 120 East Lake Road. And then there are branches. Oh, Jeff, just a question. The branches over Tuxedo Road, do you have a sense of whether they should all be removed from that tree? Or you don't have an opinion?
I mean, the ones that, whatever, there's 3 or 4 that are.
Yeah.
hanging over
There were
the
two
road.
that were alive, there's one that might be dead, but also leaning towards the road, yeah.
I think even the live ones should come down. I mean,
They pose a safety hazard.
I think. so.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks.
Okay.
Good night. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so we did get 3 bids. John, would you be so kind as to tell us what's the best deal here?
The best deal is the 2 limbs or maybe 3 limbs that we were just talking about. Decker, tree removal, against $800.
Should have this. Did you make copies for everybody?
I thought I had put it somewhere. Let's see, Michelle.
That's okay, I'll listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. Decker gave us the cheapest price to remove the limbs that we were just talking about. And then On Point Landscaping, On Point Tree Removal, they gave us the best price for removing the tree on East Lake Road that's leaning towards the reservoir, and that was $2,100.
So the total cost,
The total
using
cost-
two separate contractors,
If we use the two lowest bidders, the total it would be $2,900.
and that's, if we went with the lowest bidder for both, it's an extra $500, right?
Yes,
That'll be On Point.
yes.
Yeah.
If we went with On Point
Yeah.
to do both of them, it would be a little bit more.
I don't
It'd be
see,
35.
I don't see any reason to use the same contractor. There's no benefit to it. We can
They're
save.
separate projects.
Totally separate projects, yeah.
And it's not contingent on getting both of them, either of those bids?
No,
Okay.
I talked to them separately. We got separate prices.
Okay.
I had asked, Chris Gow, as chair of the Tree Advisory Board, if he had any comment on this proposed removal. I wrote to him several days ago. I see he's not here, but Chu Yan Hempel is, I believe she's also on the board. Chu Yan, do you have any comment on this you want to make on behalf of Chris or the Tree Advisory Board? Chu Yan?
Sorry, Mayor, I just turned the mic on. I'm not familiar with the actual location of the trees concerned,
Oh, okay.
but if
Go
it
ahead.
is, of danger to the public, they should be removed. Because, public safety, is much more important. And, that's all, I think that's all.
Okay.
I mean, if
Well,
it's to the forest, then, a dead tree, has its uses, as a shelter and all that. But along a public road, I think is a public hazard.
Right. Thank you, Chu Yan. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. So let me make a motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the following Decker Tree Service to remove the branches from the Tuxedo Road tree at
$800.
an amount of $800, and On Point Tree Service be contracted to remove the tree at 120 East Lake Road that's leaning for an amount of $2,100.
Yes.
Yeah.
$2,100. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the deputy mayor. Any discussion, further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Turner?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. All right. So we've got that. Let me just circle it. 800 for 2,900. Great. Okay. Next item is the Harris Sewer Water Online Payment upcharge. As you recall, they wanted $5,000 for a new software system. Denise had an initial conversation with them based on my request, where they said, okay, well, it's not in your budget for this year, so we can wait until your next fiscal year to pay. I'm not real happy with that either. So I intend to go back to them and actually see if we can work out a 5-year payment plan.
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll table that for now. And I'll have a counter offer to them in terms of this $5,000 upcharge. We're getting close to 8:00, and I see that our CPA is online, so we will move on to that issue next. We have a report. We have the Village of Tuxedo Park financial statements for May 30 through May 31st of 2024. It's the 2024 audit report, essentially. It was just provided to us within the last week by Mr. Arias, and we've asked him to join us to give us a brief explanation, essentially an executive summary of his findings and the report itself and how it impacts the village finances. So, Mr. Arias, if you could unmute yourself, or if John has to unmute you, welcome to our meeting, and thank you for joining us.
He has to unmute himself.
No,
Maybe,
maybe
he's
not.
waiting for 8 o'clock.
Okay,
I let him in just a few
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe
He is here.
Yep.
Andrew, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, there it goes. It wasn't
Oh, there
unmuted
he is.
at first. There it goes.
There
okay,
he is.
all right,
Okay, I'm
all
good.
right. Good evening, sir. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. I see you have my presentation up there already, which is great, and I'll just go through it. It should be pretty clear when to go to the next pages. So if you want to go to the first slide after this, I just want to say my name's Andrew Arias. I'm with Cooper Arias, and this is pretty much just a brief, summary of the audit for the 5/31/24 year. This is, I want to point that out. A couple of things I like to talk about on any time we do an audit presentation is sort of what we do as a government audit, being that you're a municipality or certain things are a little different than a regular audit. So obviously we look at your financials, which is your numbers and your note disclosures, which is what most people are looking at, fund balances, cash, receivables, things like that. We also have to look at your compliance with laws and regulations, and we have to do an assessment of your internal controls to determine how much we can rely on them. So those are a couple of things that are related to government audits, and we do have a report in the audit report in the back on your compliance and internal controls. We also have to do risk assessments of significant audit areas. So areas we feel are higher risk, we might have to do more work. Lower risk, we might do less work. Also, we would be required to do a federal single audit if you expend over $750,000 in a single year. That goes up to $1 million in 2026. That's a separate audit we would do. That's internal controls and compliance over major federal programs. That was not required for the village in 2024. And basically what our opinion says is, are the financial statements fairly presented? So when you look at these financials, they're your financials. The opinion in them is ours. And what that's saying is, would an outside user, such as a taxpayer or a granting agency or the state or the federal government, would they be misled by anything in those financial statements? And that's really what our opinion is saying. So we can go to the next slide. So basically what the village got was a qualified opinion on the financial statements. And that was basically had to do with the escrow amounts that you are carrying. Now, a qualified opinion is also known as an except for opinion. So what that is saying is, except for this one item, everything else is in compliance with GAAP, and it gets a clean opinion. But for this one item that we have to qualify the opinion for. And this sort of been a recurring issue with the escrow accounts. And what you really need to do with those escrow accounts is get a better accounting for what money is in those accounts. Sort of a reconciliation of all of the ongoing projects and what money's in there. We do look at the transactions going in there and make sure they look like they're legitimate transactions. But the problem is we don't have enough evidence to know what projects makes up the total money in those escrow accounts. So that's really something the village should try to get cleaned up to be able to get an unmodified opinion.
Andrew, one question on that.
Sure.
How material is the size of the total amount in escrow?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think it may be 100,000. It's material. It's definitely it's a material amount.
And is your qualified opinion based on the fact that it's commingled, or that you can't track it, or we don't track it, or what is it?
It's more that it's not, we can't, the reason it's qualified, first of all, is we don't feel that it's pervasive throughout the financial statement. So the activity that's happening is only within these escrow accounts, because they are recorded in a separate fund. You track them separately from your general fund and your water fund and all that. So we know there's a dollar, we know what the dollar amount is, but we don't know whether all of that is attributable to projects, or perhaps some of that is from old projects that is done already. It should go back to the general fund or something like that. We just don't know for sure.
Now, isn't Elizabeth working like over, looking back several years to see if there were projects that were finished that they haven't been closed out? Isn't that part of it?
Part of the cleanup?
Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
part of the cleanup.
Yeah, it's the cleanup.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find out which projects you are holding money for.
So I guess that was my other question is, so we all know and are aware there's a pretty, labor intensive cleanup process going on. Have we fixed it going forward, or are we continuing to create this issue?
Well, I've only gone through 24, so would hope that when we go into 25, there will be a better accounting of what's in those escrow accounts. As of 5/31/24 is all I can speak to as of right now.
Okay.
So I guess to ask it a little differently,
Mhm.
what specifically do we need to do for 25 to make sure this is not an issue going forward?
Is it
25
big?
Well, it's
over.
done.
25 is over.
We're already into 26. So we have to,
No, but the year, our fiscal year is not over till May.
It's
till
not
May.
over yet. Yeah,
well,
the
no,
fiscal year's not
no,
over.
No, no.
it's over. It was over
In
May of,
May 30, 31.
May
because
31.
the
We're
audit,
on to 26.
you
Oh,
know,
you're right, Michelle.
Well,
yeah.
see,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but
Jedediah, it's the
it's-
same question though. Like assuming assuming no change happened in the 25 fiscal year, what do we need to do for 26?
What exactly do we need to do going forward? Yeah.
Well, you could even still
No.
fix it. You could still even fix it for 25. Basically, what has to be done is you have to know which projects you're holding money for. That's what you have to do. So it's 100,000. Even if you go back to 25, if the balance was whatever it was in that escrow account, you need to know which projects that you're working on right now that you're currently holding escrow funds for. That makes up that balance. That's the number. And then once you have that schedule, then it's easy to track. Just every time a project puts more money in, it increases that project. When you spend money, it goes down. But you have to have that starting point of which projects make up the total. Is what the problem is.
close out one at the last meeting.
Actually, Elizabeth and I, and mostly Elizabeth, has closed out several, in the last month or so, and maybe more. So I think there's been significant progress. I don't have a total list in front of me.
Elizabeth, is this something that I can help you with, or you have it fully in hand and it's a time issue?
I feel
Yeah.
like I have it fully in hand. I started this in the fall of 2024, going through all of the files that I had, and I've been keeping up to date with it since then. I don't sort of look at it every week, but every once in a while throughout the year, I look at it. I've refunded money to people whose projects are finished. I've billed people who owe us money. Every letter asking for money was preceded by a phone call explaining what the bill was all about. And sometimes, talking to people because they were a little angry because the bills were coming out so late. So, we still have some money that's owed to us, but I would say it's much, much, much more under control now. I have a set of files next to my desk, and as things come in, I update the files, not just with bills, but with minutes as well. And like I said, I keep, every once in a while going through them to see, how are we doing with the escrow balances? Do we need to top it up at this point? Is the project finished? Should we refund it? So I feel pretty good about it, actually. I think the 25 audit will be a lot better with respect to the professional fees.
But so one
Could we
question on
do-
that, one question, and it's partly Elizabeth, partly Andrew. The $100,000 in the escrow accounts today would not necessarily be related to historical projects, right? So Elizabeth's previous bill cleanup is related, but not necessarily the same issue that is causing the qualified opinion.
It could be historical projects.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
But
There were a lot of, when I
the
started,
fundamental
they were all-
issue though is that we don't know cash that we hold control over. We don't know which project it belongs to and who he'd need to be returned to if the project doesn't continue. Is that Andrew's?
No, we know what project it belongs to. The question is, do we have all the expenses that should be charged against it? And is the project finished, and should we refund the money or should we bill them for more?
Okay, and Andrew, that's that is the basis of your qualified opinion.
Well, the basis of my qualified is I don't believe we have a reconciliation of like project A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
totaling up to that $100,000.
But the money comes in under a
Andrew,
certain name.
I'm tracking you. Can we do this, Elizabeth? Can you do the reconciliation to the best of your ability, and then you,
Well,
me, maybe Michelle?
Okay, I'm not
and-
sure what you mean by reconciliation. I can give you a list of all the projects, the money we've received, as far as I know, and the money that's owed to them to date. That's what I can do for you.
Okay, to me, that actually is a reconciliation.
Okay,
Yeah, we
and
can
just for
sit
the record, the,
What I'm saying is, why don't we then share that with Andrew and team and see if that would suffice for going forward instead of waiting for our next audit?
Well, I
And
mean,
seeing-
you know, that we're doing the next audit pretty much now, so, you know, I will give it to him. You know, I'll start working on it.
Okay.
Andrew, you've done, Matt and I both have a lot of experience with corporate audits, so municipal ones are slightly different than what we're used to, candidly. But
Mhm.
in essence, they shouldn't be very different. What do you recommend we do and go forward so this is a non-issue going forward? Like, what's the most prudent step?
Right. I think maybe we're sort of saying the same thing in different ways. I mean, it's really very simple. If you know all of the projects that are ongoing, and you have money that you're holding for projects and money that and projects that owe you money, that should total up to the cash in the bank. If
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
reconciliation, you should just be totaling to the cash. What makes up the $100,000 in the bank? Now, it could be that you have 120,000 you're holding from people, but you also have 20,000 of money that you're owed to you. That may make the $100,000 also, but it
Yeah.
has to reconcile to the money that's in the bank by project.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
So why don't we do a takeaway, and then Elizabeth, let us know how much time you need. We can sit down in the new year, and then we can pull Andrew in as appropriate.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I don't think the spreadsheets will take, I have them already, so I could just send him the spreadsheets tomorrow.
Okay.
That sounds
then
good.
let's even better. Let's do that, and then let's see what the reaction is.
Right. Then I'll look at it and we'll see if we're on the same page, if that's what I'm looking for, and we'll, whatever we have to, fine tune it to get it to where it needs to be.
And then oh, sorry, go ahead, Jedediah.
Yeah, no, Matt, you're gonna ask the same question, so you go.
About the bond?
No, I was gonna ask it if we get you that information, will we get an
Oh, yeah,
unqualified
yeah.
opinion?
Not on this. I mean, for the next year, if I have a reconciliation as of 5/31/25, yes, that would get rid of the qualified opinion.
Right. Okay. All right. So
And we're going to be
Next step.
we're going to be
Audit,
issuing
yeah.
the bonds based on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just going to ask, because we have this bond plan for next year.
Right.
Obviously, to Jedediah's point, a corporate issuer doesn't really get to issue bonds when they have qualified opinions or issues in control. So we very much want to clean it up ahead of issuing bonds. But just a question, have you seen that impair any municipality's ability to raise debt?
I wouldn't say for sure. The better question would be for bond counsel to know that, but I do know there are municipalities who have issues and still issue debt.
Okay.
I don't know, whether how much it
You don't wanna
affects
be
their
one, but
bond
okay.
rating.
Just might have to pay more.
Right, exactly. It's the pricing issue. Okay.
Right. So that would be something to find out from the bond, and I'm not even sure how much it's going to affect the bond rating. They look at different things. One of the things that you have going for you is, as I'll get to later, is that you are in good financial position. You have a lot of fund balances, and that I think is what they like to see. So again, I don't know how it relates to corporate audits, which obviously is a whole different ballgame. But so just going into the internal control. The material weaknesses in internal control, and that's in our report in the back, the internal control and compliance report. So the definition of the material weakness is basically a deficiency where there's a reasonable possibility that you're not going to catch a material misstatement in the financial statements. That would be a material weakness. And basically the four items there, the one we just spoke about was the escrow accounts. If you really don't know what they are, you're not going to know if there's something misstated in them. The other three that are written up in there, the bank reconciliation. Now, a lot of these, I believe probably all of the last three had to do with the switch over in the accounting, the software, the way you handle the software. Bank reconciliations, which probably are the most critical. Bank reconciliations not reconciling to the accounting records. Those bank reconciliations have to be done and have to reconcile to the accounting records every month. Without having an accurate cash balance, it's very hard, nearly impossible to know the real financial position of the village. Interfund balances materially out of balance. So the loans between funds, again, there's no way of knowing if you have a water fund expense that's being posted to the general fund or vice versa if your interfund balances are not balancing. They have to be balanced again every month, just like a bank rec. Every month you should look at those and make sure they balance. And then the posting of activity between funds, which really had to do with the new way you were handling the accounting with the class accounting, where previously what you had was each fund was its own sort of company. And when you were working in the water fund, you were only working in the water fund. Now, the way you do it, you have class accounting. So if you're not very careful on every transaction, if you can write a check and it comes out of a general fund cash account and gets posted to a water fund expense account, and then you have unbalanced trial balance and there's activity going on between funds. So you have to be very careful about that. Now, I did explain that to Elizabeth. She was able to go back and find all the transactions that were incorrect between funds and clear them out and then go through what we call an unclassified column of all items that perhaps were not classified and then allocate them to the right funds. So the funds did eventually balance, but during the year they were out of balance. And I did look ahead at, by the way, I did look at the 2025 financials briefly on QuickBooks, and I did see that all the funds do balance now. So there's no more of that posting. Doesn't look like there's any more of that activity being posted between funds in 25. So basically, the more deficiencies and internal controls, it just means the more substantive work that we must do to arrive at an opinion. So basically, if you have great controls in place, we can rely on those controls, don't have to do as much work. If the controls aren't working, it means we have to do a lot more substantive audit work to actually make sure those numbers are reasonable in order to issue an opinion.
Andrew, in the 12 months you guys looked at, how many of the monthly balances did reconcile?
Well, basically, at the end of we didn't look at every bank reconciliation. Once we saw they weren't balanced, there was no need to look at each individual month. By the end of the year, they were significantly out of balance.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, many of the issues were caused by the mid-year switch in use of the accounting software from individual companies to class accounting. Previously, when you were just using the individual companies, we didn't have any of these issues because you were in one fund and you only had to deal with that fund. So all of these cross-fund transactions, that also was what was causing the problems in the bank reconciliations, all of the cross-fund transactions on the bank recs. So that really is the main problem and has to be sort of gotten a handle on going forward so you don't have the same problems. The escrow accounts we talked about, that's been a recurring comment. That's the one that has to do with the unmodified opinion. So hopefully if we can work together and get that cleaned up, you can get an unmodified opinion. But the other material weaknesses, although they don't affect the opinion, they are critical control items because they have to do with the reports the board gets every month. And if those are not accurate, then you don't know how accurate the information you're getting throughout the year. So it is critical to get those material weaknesses cleaned up going forward.
So I have another question. And do you know when the last time we got, or how many years we've had a qualified opinion for?
It's been because of the escrow, and I don't know how many. I can't say, but it's probably been a few, at least 3, I would say. I don't remember when it first started getting that qualified. It may have been the first year we started auditing the village.
And do you know what the opinion was the year prior by any chance?
I don't know. I don't recall. I certainly can look in my work papers and see what it was.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, and this is helpful and for go forward. It sounds like we know what we need to do.
And you sent them.
Well, I didn't
Some of
send
them.
them, so, yeah.
Elizabeth and the last 2, so which were both
Yeah,
qualified.
did.
So I'm curious when we got the village got an unqualified opinion.
With no material weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we clearly have some follow-ups to do, and Andrew, this is very helpful. I think what would be beneficial is once we spend some time as a village to maybe meet with you over Zoom or in person and go through the reconciliations and see if they meet your needs and if you have any more suggestions.
Right. Yeah, that would be good to sort of do that sort of like ahead of time before we go into
100%.
make sure
yeah.
everything is what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about working with Elizabeth on those 2 items, the interfund and the bank reconciliations. And then we talked about, we actually put it in the budget for this year for Andrew to be able to give us periodic reports, ideally quarterly, but in speaking to Andrew, he can't start those quarterly reports until the 25 audit's done. And then we can move forward, so.
I would like to get everything cleaned up.
Michelle,
and then,
let's take that up in exec session because I have a slightly different view on what that number was for.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's go and just going into some of the numbers for the village at the end of the year. Total, the general fund, the total fund balance at the end of the year was 2.36 million. That was an increase of $78,000 for the year. You have restricted funds of 305,000. That's the various donations that you've received for various projects. And you have a non-spendable fund balance of 51,000. Now that's pretty much what we consider loans to other funds that you don't anticipate getting paid within a year. So your loans to the sewer fund, which is currently in a deficit, we classified as non-spendable. Everything remaining is what we call unassigned fund balance for the government, and that's pretty much money that's available for any use of the village. And you have about $2 million in your general fund. And the benchmark the state controller usually uses is the percentage of the subsequent year's budget as to how much fund balance you have. As you can see, you have your fund balance is a significant portion of the subsequent year's budget. The state controller, when they talk about unassigned fund balance, they say a reasonable amount is about 10 to 20% of the subsequent year. Now, I do want to point out that's not a statutory requirement. School districts have a statutory requirement. They have to be at 4%. But other municipalities, it's really up to the board. So whatever you feel comfortable having your fund balance is really up to the board.
But Andrew, I mean, aren't we way over that though? I mean, we're on that point,
Yeah.
we're very healthy.
Yes.
Where are you with respect to other municipalities you're familiar with on a scale of our 48%?
Well, I would say I'm not going to say a lot, but in the general fund, I don't think that's uncommon. I don't think your 48% is exorbitantly high. I have seen general funds in that 20% range, but you don't see be honest with you, you don't see too many people in that 10 to 20% range. Most municipalities want to be above that. They want to have more fund balance available.
No, understood. But being at 50%, at least to me, seems like a pretty healthy. And I guess the question to you is that on the higher end of the distribution
Of other municipalities?
Yeah.
I don't, for a general fund, from top of my head, I would say no. I would say a lot of municipalities have that in their general fund. So
okay, that's
it's
helpful.
healthy. Now, one of the things you have to remember is like the state control looks at it and they want it to be 10 to 20, but certainly when you're issuing bonds, they want it to be high. The credit rating agencies want it to be high. So that's you sort of have two different things you're going against here. It's good to have a high fund balance when you're going to issue debt. The credit agencies like that. So if you can go on to the next chart, I think is just a chart shows you the last few years of your restricted fund balance and your unassigned fund balance, just sort of give you an idea of the 5-year trends there of the fund balances. You had the big bump up in 23. That was the year when you switched over the sewer fund, went out on its own. So that was a kind of a year the budgeting might have been a little off. You built up your fund balance some more in 23, but again, a fairly healthy fund balance in your general fund. You can go to next. So this is your water fund. They have a total fund balance of 2.11 million. That increased 138,000 and a non-spendable portion of 165. You also used 94 in your 2025 budget. So that leaves about 1.85 million in your water fund. Now those percentages are very high.
Work on the sewer fund to increase the rates.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah.
Right. So
Sorry, Andrew, you said those numbers are really high.
Yes, compared to, like you asked me about the general fund, I've seen a lot of general funds. At a water fund with a budget this size, that is a very high, not necessarily bad. I mean, obviously, you'd like to be high. The state controller might look at that and say that's too high. But again, there's no statutory limit on what you can keep in there. But you have a very, very healthy fund balance in your water fund, obviously.
Well,
we got a big project.
we have a lot of projects.
We have huge work we have to do on our water distribution system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's a reason why
there's capital set aside for that. So that's actually not a bad thing. That's okay.
Right.
Say what? Say that again, Jed?
But we have a fair amount of capital in the account for those future projects. So
I thought you were bonding.
That's not as big a concern as reconciling our books.
You mean the fund balance is we haven't specified and separated a capital account yet. We're going to, but we haven't yet.
Yeah, but we have enough. My point is we have enough funds
in the fund balance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Andrew, that might be a good point for you to just talk about when we do set up capital reserve accounts, the restrictions once we do that.
Yeah. Well, setting up a capital reserve account, basically you have to set up the reserve and then you can fund the reserve. But whenever you want to put money in there, you can either fund it annually in the budget. You can say we're going to put 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 a year in it, or just at the end of each year, you can say, the board can say, we have extra money, let's put money in the capital reserve. And the only requirement is when you go to spend it, it has to be subject to permissive referendum. So any time you want to spend it, the resolution has to be subject to permissive referendum. You have to advertise it and you have to wait 30 days to act on it.
Yeah.
So if
So it
a
doesn't make
resident then
sense to
comes
have
in,
so much in these. We should keep it as a general fund until we need it.
Well, not in the general fund, but in the water fund, the fund balance.
But
Not
that
in-
is
not in the
that fund
general
balance subject to a permissive referendum?
No.
it isn't.
That's
A
why we
reserve
haven't,
account.
that's why I'm saying we haven't set up the capital
Right.
reserve
Oh,
accounts
okay.
Oh, I
yet.
see. Okay.
Because once we do, then we have to use them for the purpose it was set up for.
Right, and we have to get permission from,
And you have to have the,
well,
yeah,
it's not a permissive referendum. It's not like a voter referendum. Again, I've been
Right, you
in
just
almost
have to
30 years. I've never
wait.
seen a permissive referendum.
oh, you mean we
Challenge.
open it up to a permissive referendum, but it requires the voters to actually gather the signatures necessary to put it on the ballot.
right,
Yes.
Right.
right.
Okay. All right.
And it's only
And
We
30
have to
days.
let them know that it's available, that they
Exactly.
can use that
Exactly.
But the
process.
difference is right now, we could just use the.
Yes, no, I
these
understand. We
funds.
can use
Yeah.
the fund now. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't have to go to the voters, or at least alert them that they can have a permit, they can petition for a permissive referendum.
So now, Michelle, for each one of the bonding projects, are you gonna have to do this process of the permissive referendum?
We already did that. We already,
That's
we have the resolutions at the specific amounts. We already did the permissive referendum
okay.
for that.
But we avoided a
But-
permissive referendum, essentially. There was a time for the permissive referendum, and that time has passed.
We waited
Yeah.
and everything was
There was no
good.
permissive referendum demanded or petition. Okay.
And that's a rarity. Like I said, in 30 years, I've never seen anybody challenge a permissive referendum. It just doesn't really happen, but I mean, I guess it could.
You never know.
So here's your trend of your water fund balance over the last 5 years. Same thing, just to give you an idea. The 5 year, we always like to show trends, so you can sort of see what the trends of your fund balances are over several years. So your sewer fund, you have a fund deficit this year of $51,000. The fund balance decreased $87,000. Now your sewer rents were down significantly from the prior year. They had to do with a lot of significant billing adjustments in fiscal 2024. So perhaps some of the bills were too high in 2023, and then they were adjusted in 2024, resulting in a pretty big difference in your sewer fund billings. That resulted in an operating deficit for the year, rather than pretty much a break even or so that it would have been if they had come in according to budget.
What was the first year we had this? 23?
23.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth and I, we've been looking at it, and we are of the opinion that when they separated the sewer fund, it didn't get capitalized enough. It wasn't given enough money to be able to sustain itself.
Correct.
So it's always been in a deficit.
And we're going to adjust the rates to
We have
try
to adjust the rates,
to
yeah.
try to decrease the deficit or actually get a small surplus.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
I think
that's very
that-
common.
Just to say it out loud, I think we need to look at our water plus sewer rates and compare it to neighboring municipalities.
Mhm.
'Cause
And-
I did that very briefly, and ours is quite high.
Yeah.
Mm.
Matt, I don't disagree, but to Michelle's earlier point, we have very old infrastructure, so it's not an apple to apple comparison.
Yeah, but this is operating expense. This isn't capital.
Well, we're
This
gonna
is
use,
the
They-
deficit
well,
is
one
from
fund is-
operating expenses.
yeah.
But how do those numbers compare to, say, a commercial
I did
provider?
it was like a 10-minute thing.
Oh,
I don't,
okay.
so I want to just say we should look at that in general.
yeah, I mean, we're in a situation, we have to bond, and, a lot of this money will subsidize the debt service.
Yeah.
The money that
That will,
But Matt, you think your point about the rates is, and that's what Michelle's been looking at, will be covered, right?
yes,
that was also one of my things that I wanted to talk to you about on the AmWalk,
yes.
because I don't think they had any benchmarking in there that I saw.
benchmarking.
Like
Uh,
against other.
Oh, against others. We could certainly ask them. Yeah, we didn't ask them to do
And
that.
include Veolia as a commercial provider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to get a sense of what people are paying in Sloatsburg or wherever.
Right,
else.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, or the northern section of town.
Yeah, wherever the Veolia is providing service. Okay,
This is just the 2 years the sewer fund's been in existence. The first year you had a little bit of surplus, then this year you had the operating deficit, so you're currently in a deficit in the sewer fund. It's not uncommon, really, when you first create new districts. We see this a lot. In the first few years, there are lots of fluctuations till you sort of, are able to sort of figure out your budget and how much funding you need and what the expenses are going to be for that new district or new fund or whatever it is. And this just sort of shows pretty much what we just talked about, sort of in a summary format, so you can sort of look at it, your general, your water, your sewer, where your fund balances are. As you can see, your general and water, lots of unassigned fund balance in those two funds. And then the sewer, you're just going to work on going forward. So again, despite the internal control and accounting issues, which we discussed and hopefully get cleaned up, the village is in strong financial position, which is great, because sometimes if you have these kind of internal control issues, if you're really operating on a shoestring, it could cause problems, driving you to a deficit. You can't get accurate budgets. But luckily, you're in strong financial position with healthy fund balances. The sewer fund, we mentioned, just began operating. And again, it's very common to have those kind of early fluctuations in a newly established fund. Hopefully at some point it'll smooth out and you'll have your funding at a better level. And there are a few old inactive amounts in the capital fund from old completed projects. At this point, they should be returned to the funds from which they originated. It's not a lot of money, $100,000 or so, split between funds. But I can work with Elizabeth on that. But once the projects are done, they should be removed from the capital fund. Capital fund is really only supposed to be open for specific projects when they're ongoing. Once the project is done, any remaining funds has to either be used on existing debt used in the project or returned to the fund that it came from if it was just a transfer. So we'll work on those a little bit and try to get that cleaned up before you start all your new projects. So again, overall, we had the issues, but the good thing is the village is in strong financial position. So, have been any other questions or?
Well, I think just some of those follow-ups, that was very helpful.
Yeah, we'll do that and we'll work forward and try to get all that stuff cleaned up so we don't have these issues again.
Thanks, Andrew.
Anything
Thank
else?
you.
Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate you coming on in the evening and explaining all this to us.
And thanks, Elizabeth, for digging through all the catch-up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll move back to the old business. The next item is the water leak forgiveness program. I brought that up at the last meeting and we tabled it for further review or discussion. Let me just remind the board that this was based on the New York City Water Department forgiveness program. And the formula is if someone in the village someone in the village assuming suffers a water leak, that we will have a forgiveness program if the total cost of the water leak is at least 200% of the normal bill, that we will provide relief to that homeowner of 1/2 of the high bill amount, but that amount will not be less than 150% of the typical bill. So do we want to have a discussion about that particular issue? People are coming forward with water leaks and they're requesting relief. Some are requesting complete forgiveness. I don't think that's reasonable. The village should not be responsible for if the village is not responsible for the water leak, then why should we have total forgiveness? So this is a formula that the largest city in the state uses. And if we have a uniform formula, it'll be easy for Denise with the approval of the board, for each application to work out the numbers.
So no one can even apply for relief unless the total bill is greater than 200% of the normal bill. So they can't even apply.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's the city's formula. We can adjust that, but I threw that out through Jared so that we have something to work with.
I like the idea.
So Mayor, that would be a ground to be able to appeal it.
Right.
And then, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then your
If someone's
appeal-
house
your-
freezes, for example, and a pipe bursts, we obviously should take that into consideration.
Well, but I think Jedediah, the formula works such that if your pipe bursts and you're 400% over your normal bill, you can then ask Denise for relief, and Denise will either give you half relief, or the greater of half relief, or the bill will be the greater of half relief or 150% of your normal.
Your normal
So
bill.
if you have a
Okay.
bill, if you have a leak, you're 150% of your normal, but you are getting some relief in most cases other than you would.
Yeah, but that actually could be a huge relief.
I think it is a great, I like it. The
Yeah.
question is it going to be a big administrative task for Denise? Hopefully not, but is this going to cause like a,
I don't
I
think
think
so.
it'd be the opposite, actually.
I think
it'd be the opposite.
if she knows what the formula is, I think though that each application has to be, we have to decide to provide the relief.
Yeah, as a board, I agree.
Once
with
we
you.
decide to provide the relief, she simply uses
Okay.
that formula.
Yeah.
And we will have all the numbers in front of us anyway.
right, okay.
When she passes on the application from the resident.
And we get them from her anyway.
We get them from her anyway. So we approve it, and then she just does the calculation based on the formula. Everybody will know in the village, this is the formula. If the board of trustees approves the relief.
Hey, John, I saw you kind of move your hands up. Did you have something to add?
No, I'm just wondering if there should be some type of form so we get all the numbers, that we need on one sheet of paper.
Well, the numbers come from Denise.
Yeah.
She's the one with all, I mean, she could prepare a
Give me the
form.
history.
Yeah,
I think the New York City one had like a form that a resident fills out and says, this is my normal bill, and some kind of proof.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Like a
Yeah,
standard
this way
thing?
you have something to look at,
Yeah.
I mean, I know Denise can print out the history. I'm just trying to formalize it. I don't.
Yeah, I agree.
And I also
that
don't-
makes
program.
sense.
Yes, although you don't want to encourage everybody to, apply, but once again, they'd have to reach that threshold first before they can apply.
And I guess what's
What-
normal? Just 1 year, like one summer, or a average of summers? Because
Many years
obviously
ago, we would look at the same quarter the prior year.
just
So if somebody got a very high bill in
That's what we
September.
did. That's what we did for
No.
the resident on East Lake Road at the last meeting. There was a water leak, and we looked at the prior
Prior
year's
quarter.
quarter, and we
Yeah.
came up with a number. We
Because they
did it.
vary tremendously
Yeah.
quarter to quarter.
Yeah.
During the
Yeah, it's
season.
gotta be the same quarter. I think
Yeah.
Michelle's asking,
Oh,
is
yeah,
it 1
no.
year or 2 year? Like
Yeah,
how many year?
can't be just
averaging.
1 year, because if there's a lot of rain 1 year, but and then the next year's a drought, so they use a lot of water.
If Denise has the
And
info,
then
maybe
they-
we
But
do
that
2 year
information's
average.
not readily available to the homeowner. We can't expect the homeowner
No,
to fill out a
that's-
form
That's true.
and start supplying previous billing statements from 2022 and 2023. Denise has all of that. So I
Right.
really think that it's just easier for them to make an application, explain in the application what happened. The pipes froze or a toilet overflowed, something, so we have some sense of what caused this
Yeah.
problem. And then we ask Denise to come up with the numbers. It's very easy.
Yeah.
It's just-
Hey, Mayor, I agree with your train of thought. The one thing I would just say is that having someone reach out to Denise to get the historical data to fill out the form might lessen the number of requests that the village gets.
We don't get that many requests.
No.
I mean, we've had, in the last year, we've had 3, maybe 4.
I would say less than half a dozen.
Yeah, 3 or 4. I mean, this is not an overwhelming problem. But it's something we want to address for the benefit of the residents. It's not an ongoing issue. I can think of 3 or 4 at the most.
I like the fair treatment for everybody, no matter what. Just if we have a
Yeah.
standard.
Formula.
I mean, let's start with that. How
Yeah.
about we start with a formula, and then administratively we'll work on the process. We can always do that. But we agree that the board has to review every application, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
definitely.
okay. All right. So that's one half of the item. The other one is the irrigation system water billing. A lot of people have irrigation systems, and not everybody has a irrigation meter. as I found out because people are writing to me. So should we require, except in the most exceptional circumstances where it's engineering is not possible to have an irrigation meter, that anyone that has an irrigation system should have an irrigation meter so the proper billing can be determined for the purpose of sewer versus water use?
Right, because if they don't have a meter, then they're being charged for sewer as well as water.
I mean, my view as someone who has a lot of issues with my irrigation billing is if you don't have the meter, you don't have any basis to challenge the bill. If you have the meter and there's still issues, then you can have the conversation. But if someone doesn't have a meter and they're trying to avoid paying for irrigation in the sewer, they need to first get a meter to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
That's the first step. You gotta have a separate irrigation meter, right?
How do
Yeah.
we know? Right.
Okay, because I'm getting, people are contacting me and I'm like, do you have a meter? No, I don't have a meter.
Yeah, so everyone's just guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a guesstimate. So, okay, then let me put
What's the action there?
there's going to be two. And we'll do one at a time. With respect to the water leak forgiveness program, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees adopt a water leak forgiveness program for a leak that is equal in cost to at least 200% of the normal bill from a representative billing period, provided that the leak is fixed and that the formula is 1/2 for relief is 1/2 of the high bill amount, but not less than 150% of the typical bill. So that would be the formula. And I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that formula with respect to the numbers?
So this is just an identified water leak.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so any further discussion on it in terms of setting the formula down?
Well, it's a good formula.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
all right. That's one. Now, with respect to water, with respect to a sewer and irrigation system, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees mandates that if any resident wishes to seek reduction in their sewer bill based upon installation of an irrigation system, that resident must first request the installation of a separate irrigation water meter before seeking said relief. Do I have a second?
I'll second that one.
Second by the deputy mayor. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Let me to do that. Okay. Now we move on to, I think we're done with old business. Now we move on to the alternate board members. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees adopt local law number 2 of 2025, adding an alternate board member to the planning board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Tenari. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next motion, be resolved that the Board of Trustees adopt local law number 3 of 2025, adding an alternate board member to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Tenari. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next resolution 4-0, be resolved that the Board of Trustees adopt local law number 4 of 2025, adding an alternate board member to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the deputy mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Turner?
Aye.
Should I have recused myself from the zoning?
No,
board?
you don't have to. Absolutely not. Why? Because of your husband's
Yeah.
position? No.
Okay.
Okay, now we move on to the next item, which is the climate action plan for the village of Tuxedo Park. We had a presentation from John and Professor Hayes, and I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendations described in the climate action plan submitted by the Climate Action Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the deputy mayor. Any discussion?
I just had one question I forgot to ask earlier. So the climate action plan is a set of recommendations.
Mhm.
Um, that's obviously subject to capital planning, technology availability, all the things. So it's just a guideline for how we want to
Yeah,
replace
it's
assets or
basically
modify assets as it comes.
true. Yeah, we identified some of the boilers here in the village office, and the recommendation is
Yeah.
replace them with heat
Been there for
pumps.
years.
And yes,
But we obviously can't pre-approve.
right. It's just a recommendation. Yeah.
We still need to get prices and bids.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah, it doesn't, right. And then the other recommendation besides the heat pumps is for an electric vehicle for the water truck.
And then my other question for Dr. Hayes, and I forgot, was the village historically signed up for the 2030 goal. Is there a penalty for missing that?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. It's just a goal.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, any other discussion on the climate action plan? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Turner?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Unified solar permit, I'll turn this over to the deputy mayor to give a brief explanation. So,
Yeah, it's another climate smart action plan, action item, I should say. And it just helps standardize what's required to get a solar permit. And so the state has suggested requirements and guidelines. And it's been reviewed by the Board of Architectural Review, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and
for rooftop solar in the village?
yes. I mean, it still has to be approved by the Board of Architectural Review.
Is rooftop solar permitted?
the board has approved them, and we feel that they don't impact the visual appearance or neighborhood. Not many, but they have approved them.
So this is just streamlining, if and when approved, streamlining the permitting process.
And just all the checklist of things that the engineers have
Okay.
to look at.
I've been advised that the state of New York is changing the building codes effective January 1st, and there may be some impact on solar projects. So this permit, if we should approve this permit, it may actually, the format and the criteria may actually change. I don't know specifically what it is, but I've been told by an engineer, I'm told by the chair of the planning board that there are changes coming. So I know that you have a deadline of
January 9th.
January 9th.
So if we approve it tonight, then it counts.
Yeah, no, I understand. I stand the rush
For the
rush to approve it
Yeah.
to get the points, but I just wanted to point out,
Yeah.
it may be moot, it may not be moot.
True, then we would have to change it, obviously, if
Yeah.
the state changes the code.
But I have a copy if you want to look at it, trustee Tenari, somewhere in this. I know you haven't seen it, right?
No.
No.
Wait, the permit?
The permit, yeah, the
I
application.
did read it, but I was reading it in transit. I saw it somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did see that there were some elections that weren't made, so I don't know if that was the final version or we're gonna kind of proofread.
Oh, here it is. Okay. The thing about it is, one of the check marks is that it's not subject to let's see, is not subject to review by an architectural or historic review board.
Well, we're going to submit it with that language.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
for
gonna.
sure.
That was like, I read this and I thought, I love solar for the record, just not on people's houses. It would be bad if everyone starts applying for solar in the front of their roof in Tuxedo.
No, I mean,
Because of
the
this.
thing is, if we were planning to submit this permit, if we approve it, with the qualification that it has to be approved by the BAR. And if the state DEC that regulates Climate Smart says, well, then
They're gonna reject
they're
it.
gonna reject it.
Okay.
But we're gonna take that language out or
Okay.
change it to
We're
say,
gonna require
Require it,
bar
yes.
approval, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look back. I thought one of these things or a couple of these things we didn't circle, but it was I was in transit, so I'll look again.
Okay.
Okay,
So do you want to approve it subject to?
Oh, I think
Clean
approve it.
document?
No, I'll just, I was okay with it, but I might, if I find that again, I'll just text you or something.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
all right. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the submission of New York State Unified Solar Permit. The use, actually, it should be resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the use of the New York State Unified Solar Permit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the accountant, Mr. Arias, has requested an additional $5,000 fee for all the work that was done on the 2024 audit in recognition of the fact that it took longer than usual to do the change in the accounting software program, et cetera, and that bill has been presented to us for payment. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the expenditure of an additional $25,000 in payment of the 2024 audit in recognition of the fact that longer than usual due to the change in accounting software program, the total fee being $27,500. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on this addition or the total fee for the work that's now been completed and handed to us in book form?
I would just say, well, typically when there's qualified opinions and material weaknesses, the costs go up. So that's not surprising.
Uncommon, yeah.
Well,
We were given a little heads up on that,
Okay.
because they had to have somebody come in and go through all the banks.
well, I'm pleased I have three experts on the board on financial matters. It takes a great weight off my shoulders to know that the three of you know exactly what you're doing.
Now, well, I have a question before I forget.
On this?
Well, it's not on this, so let's approve it and then
Okay.
I'll ask my question.
All in favor of authorizing the additional expenditure payment to Andrew Arias and his firm, please say aye.
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 So Andrew had submitted an engagement letter
That's correct.
to do, and I don't see it on here, right?
No, it is not here, but I have it and I
Okay,
added
okay,
it. Yes,
okay.
okay. So the next item, which is not on the agenda, but was submitted yesterday apparently, is an engagement letter for the May 31st, 2025 audit. And the total amount asked for the 2025 audit is a little bit more than 2024. It's $30,000. Since it was just provided, guys may want to look at it before we vote on it. But then we have the issue of getting started on the
We
work.
want him to start.
So I'm
right
going to
away.
let you experts decide how you want to handle this retainer which just came in.
Would he be willing to start? Obviously, we're going to work with him. Would he be willing to start the work and we can approve the engagement in January?
I don't know if he could do that, but I mean, I think part of the reason for the extra money is that he's going to be working with Elizabeth to make
Oh, okay, so
sure.
let's cover this in because I think Jedediah had a point on this later.
Oh, right. But it's because he has already told us he has to do additional work
Yeah.
to get the bank reconciliations and interfund transfers, all cleaned up. So it's more than just an audit.
All right, so there are issues we have to discuss in executive session regarding this proposed contract. We'll take it up there. Is that okay with you, Trustee Turner?
Yep.
Okay. Now we have to address the 2024 audit. Apparently we have to accept it. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees accept from the accountant the 2024 audit of the Village of Tuxedo Park. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next, be resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the Tuxedo Joint Fire District to reappoint Commissioners Kent Clark and Paul Eichengreen to 5-year terms ending December 31st, 2030. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. 4-0. Next item, approval renewal of PERMA third-party administrative services. This also just came in today. And since it doesn't start until February, is anybody interested in reviewing it before we vote on it?
What is it?
Okay, PERMA is the administrator for our workers' compensation program. They've been our administrator for some time. And they charge a fee to handle claims on our behalf. And there's a fee schedule at the back. I can't compare it to any other service, but I'll let you take a look at it. And they are paid based upon the number of workers' compensation claims that are made. And they administer it from our end.
So it's only based on claims that are made?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and there's some kind of flat fee, right?
Yeah, there is a flat fee. It's 500. Well, it's really based on. I think it's based on the claims. I mean, I don't fully understand it. I admit that it just came in today, and since it doesn't take effect till February, shall we table it?
Yeah, maybe we do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 2-1.
Okay. So we will table that. The next item is the Amawak Consulting Group LLC invoice. Amawak is handling the new rates for water and sewer. They provided a report, right? An update. I saw that. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the payment of the invoice for Amawak Consulting Group LLC in the amount of $5,596 to be charged to 8340.4 water transportation and distribution contractual. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Turner?
Oh, sorry. Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is local government efficiency program grants. The Deputy Mayor has agreed to work with representatives from the town to try to obtain grants. Now, this local government efficiency grant actually is a joint application by at least 2 municipalities. So we would naturally work with the town to try to get some money for various administrative tasks that we would perform either together with the town or separately. My wife, Sheila, has agreed to work with Michelle. And I wrote to Trustee Turner, would you be interested in working with Michelle and my wife on this grant application together with the town?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead,
Great.
Michelle. It's all
Wonderful.
yours.
Also, I did ask Chris Kasker from the town if he's interested, and he's very interested in working with us.
Okay.
And there are
Great.
some clean energy initiatives, some water improvement districts, so hopefully we can get some money. I haven't gotten into looking into great detail
Oh,
as
it just
to
came
what
in.
it's
I mean,
for,
it came in
yeah.
within the last
But-
week. It was announced, and it's due in February, I think, right?
Yes.
Like February 10th or something like that. Okay, then no motion is required on that. Audit of claims, as Elizabeth mentioned, they're rather large this year, because this month because of the retirement fund payments. And as she described, which are mandated, and there's nothing much we could do about that except pay it. Now the next item is to enter, budget transfers. Any budget transfers we should know about? Elizabeth?
I unfortunately, I did not print the resolutions for myself. I just forgot. So you have them in front of you in the resolutions,
Okay.
I think.
Oh, budget modifications. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah. So
All right.
it's an increase to the bridges.
Bridges, yeah, because
Right.
bridges and recreational and taken from unappropriated reserves.
Right.
We
Okay.
could pay ourselves back because that was that was going to be
That was
covered under one of the
under the
bond
bonds? Okay.
resolutions.
All
So
right.
we can,
Well, we could pay 138,000, we can pay ourselves back. Recreation contractual, not quite sure what that is. What's that?
Well, that's
was
just
just-
things like the WeWa.
Okay. All right, it's
So It's just a
$2,900.
little bit over, that's all.
Okay, all right. So the next motion is to move into executive session. Be resolved that the Board of Trustees leave the public meeting at 9:00 and enter executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Public comments? I mean, just in case there's.
Oh, right,
online.
right. Okay, you're absolutely right. Anybody wish to make a public comment? Any members of the public still online? Thank you.
I thought Chuyen might still be, but she's.
No,
There.
Sheila Trailens, any public comment as you're the representative of the public left online? In the dark? No? Okay. No public comment. Any trustee comments?
Nope.
No. Okay. Then I'll move again that we leave the public meeting and enter executive session at 9:01 to discuss police personnel matters and I guess it's elements of the 2014 audit report and seek legal advice on certain other matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
Be it resolved that we're back, folks, and we have one resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the retention of Cooper Arias LLP to perform the mandated audit for the fiscal year of the village ending May 31st, 2025. Said audit to be conducted by Cooper Arias for a fee not to exceed $30,000, and this retainer is approved subject to Cooper Arias providing a schedule of their hourly rates as referred to within the retainer itself. Do I have a second?
Well, second.
Second, but
Discussion. It also says anything over 30 would be billed at 50%.
okay, but that's
Yeah.
within the retainer.
Okay,
We don't
Okay.
have, we don't have to stipulate it. It's in writing, right?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
okay, all right. So the second,
Can we say that anything over 30, regardless of the discounted billing, we'd want to review and approve?
That's good. We did that last time. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll amend that to say anything over the stipulated amount of $30,000 is subject to review by the Board of Trustees.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
All
Mhm.
right, so that's the resolution. You seconded it?
I did.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Aye. All right, and last motion,
Jedediah?
Jedediah?
Yes, aye.
Okay, fine. I move that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the deputy mayor. All in favor?
I.
Aye. Okay. Thank you all very much. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy
Yeah.
New Year. We'll see you in 2026.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.